Welcome to the Wandering Road, a place where the unseen moves all around us. The stories you'll hear aren't just whispered legends. They're shadows that cling, footsteps that follow, and whispers that never fade. Every turn pulls you closer to the unknown, and once you've heard what waits here, the night will never feel the same again.
Look who's back. Hello, buddy.
Aloha. I'm alive
He is alive, and he is
and
joined
fully
us-
visual.
Fully visual for his first video episode. Yay! Everybody clap for Dean being in Hawaii. You little bastard.
Now you can see the shit. You can see the shit show behind the voice. Here I am.
Welcome to my world, dear Lord.
You know, it's getting older, and it's just it's. I mean, I turned 37, and I swear to God, everything just went south like 50%. Like I went from like, oh, I feel really good to, fuck, I feel sore all the time now, for real.
So I have been under this misconception for the past 2 birthdays. In January, I am now officially turning 50.
You can
Shut
kiss
the
my ass.
hell up.
And then we get the 70-year-old guy who just, shits on all of us.
My mom was actually turning 70 in December, so
Wow,
Really?
nice.
Wow, nice. All right, gentlemen. For this evening, this is our first trio video episode. Excited to see where this goes. So normally we have just one topic that we want to focus on. Tonight we have a couple or a few, I should say, that we want to talk about today. So before we get to any of the topics, Dean, do you have any of your little fun facts that you normally have?
Oh,
Want to rant on
shit.
AI a little bit?
No, I actually, I don't have an. I'm not going to do it this episode. I have a big reveal for our listeners that everybody else knows about. But on this side, I'm not ready to like talk about it yet. But I will bring it out, and it's good. It's all good. But it was a lot of like challenging stuff. So I'm currently riding through that, and I'm fucking exhausted. And so I haven't had a lot of time to like read through news and think of a lot of stuff. So unfortunately, I don't have anything in my back pocket right now. But as we were planning to talk about certain topics today, just for funsies on this, video recording episode and my first video recording episode, I think that I have some stuff to interject. So in my tired state, I'm going to help like let you guys take the lead, and then I'll have something to interject as we go along. And then next episode, hopefully I'll be more lucid enough to talk about really funny shit again.
Well, bad news for you, dude, because you're leading everything. So,
oh
Well,
boy,
Chris, you know that I develop AI applications for a very large AI tech firm, right?
yeah, that's why I hate you.
Yeah, we love you. You know it.
I'm kidding.
I do have something real quick, and it's minor. Have you seen the Grok videos that people have been posting on TikTok about like they ask it something, and it's like the most dark, like 50 Shades of Gray shit answer? There was a woman who posted like a video the other day where she was in her Tesla and she had her 2 kids in the back, and she asked Grok a question. It wasn't even like sexual or anything. And then Grok supposedly came back with like, you dirty slut, like blah, 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 like all kinds of stuff. I can't talk shit at all right now because I don't know like if you can set settings on it that make it talk like that. I was laughing about that in my head because imagine 100 years ago or like 60 years ago, imagine explaining that video to somebody who owned like a Studebaker in like 1932. What do you mean the car talks? Like, what do you mean it drives by itself? It's just like 0 to 60 in the last 10 years of all this shitstorm with AI and robotics and technology. And it seems more and more like we're just living in this insane simulation where things are just exploding in all different directions.
Well, you know that Grok, it goes to extremely unreputable sources to get its information, such as 4chan, literally 4chan. And like
God.
half the crap in which it spews out is more like SCP related conspiracy theories or creepypastas than it is anything in reality.
Look, I can honestly say
4chan.
I've never used Grok,
Mhm.
so
And I never
Yeah, it's hard.
will.
but
I jumped off from Twitter a long time ago. Once he took ownership, I went, nope, I am out.
I still have mine. I use it mainly for sports because I like torturing myself. But have y'all seen the new Sora videos? They're like freaking nuts. They're
Yeah.
like
Oh, all I know is that Sora is in my restricted filters on TikTok. And if I see a Sora video come out, then I immediately block the account that posted it because fuck them.
note to self: find Sora videos and send them to you.
Yeah.
No, because Chris, we have like a 500 plus streak going on. You don't get off that easy.
No, they were like freaking making like old school wrestling promos with like former historical people.
Oh man. Sora videos, one positive thing I've seen about Sora videos, some people create the creepiest like mini like scary little clips I've ever seen of like creatures and like demons like in the kitchen, and it looks like the type of horror movie that if you like horror movies you'd want to watch. And I don't know, I like seeing those every once in a while. They're like really unique, and the creatures they come up with and stuff. And but then you could probably make the argument like, oh, maybe there's some they're actually calling out negative energy from those videos or something like that because they're too realistic. I sent you a couple of those, remember, Chris? Like the
Yeah,
one
you
that was
did.
coming over the fence and like coming up to the security camera outside. It looks so real. My God.
Here's my conspiracy. With the advent, when you do catch something, you could just say it's AI.
Yeah. This is the perfect time for actual demons to come roam about in the three-dimensional space that we occupy, because if someone catches them on camera, it's just going to be debunked as AI. It's like they can hide behind
Yeah,
AI now.
true. I was talking to my cousin yesterday. I don't know why I asked her this question, but I was like, given, the tumultuous state of the world that we've been dealing with for, quite a few years now, is it me or is like more people coming out saying like they have paranormal experiences and like seeing things and feeling things? It's like when things go bad, does like the veil thin because people are more negative and it like calls on that energy? And
Yeah.
I'm probably talking out of my ass,
No, 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 no,
but
no, no,
I don't
no.
know what you what you guys think about that.
I just thought about this the other day that kind of is in line with what you just said. It kind of feels like, I don't know, we're occupying this time in human history where it's kind of like a conundrum. It's like we're not dealing with people walking up to other people in the state of nature and just bashing their head in with a rock and taking their meat stash. You know what I mean? Like we're not just roaming around. Even if you go back to the ancient days of battles and stuff like that, there was like the death was so personal. You literally had to go up to somebody and slash them to death. I imagine a time like that though would be ultra dark, but maybe it wouldn't be because psychologically it was accepted. So I get what you're saying, where like nowadays there's so much negativity and terrible things happening to people, but it's also not nearly as bad, I think, as it would have been like during the plague, or other like the Mongols riding through the plains of China, just slaughtering people. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, it's an interesting question, especially if you're doom scrolling on your phone. You have no energy because the work that you do is sucking the will to live out of your body. It certainly is a right psychological environment in order to wreak havoc.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Psychologically speaking, there's a lot of there's a lot more manipulation on a grander scale happening in this time period than there was 1,000 years ago. And I think that's why we're seeing an epidemic in like psychological breakdowns and people seeking out help for mental issues and whatnot. And that's a good point.
Check out Jaunty Haunts, a podcast all about the supernatural, hosted by Courtney, the self-proclaimed seer who, after 30 years of keeping it quiet, is finally sharing her secret with the world. She sees ghosts. Each episode, she dives into eerie encounters, true tales of the seen and unseen, and welcomes guests to share their own experiences with the paranormal. It's spooky, funny, and surprisingly relatable. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, you'll find something to love. You can listen to Jaunty Haunts every Monday wherever you get your podcasts. You won't want to miss it.
To sprinkle some more like, oh shit, negativity on that, you have people in power who care much, much more about their own circle and making an extra dollar than they do about taking care of their actual, I'll use a Hawaiian term, ohana, like their family. Like, you're part of the same family on this planet, but people are like more separated than ever. And I'll give you an example. It's like, think about where we got to in this country, like 50 years of the evolution of food, where they're advertising super sugary, high caloric fast food, and it's just being shoved down your throats physically, like actually and proverbially. It's just insane. And then you have people adopting this view that, oh, it's okay to eat all this stuff. And then the amount of pain and suffering that has come about from that sort of thing, that sort of mentality, all in the guise, or at the whim of the people making those advertisements and stuff and pushing it down the throats of other people just to make more money, just to add more and more to that market cap without even considering the ramifications for society. And like,
But what I want to pull back towards, what I was trying to get at, is the constant exposure to negativity, because negativity and bad news sells and all that shit. Like you said, JJ, you're doom scrolling, right? Depending on what you believe in, does that call towards negative? Like, does that make you more susceptible? Does that make you more vulnerable in
Yeah,
that sense?
of course it does. If you are in a negative headspace, the majority of the time, more so than you would be naturally, then that opens you up to all manner of attack, whether that would be a target of obsession, of oppression, of something else, if we're talking about the preternatural. But yeah, I mean, it absolutely can leave your spiritual house in shambles to the point where you become a much easier target.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get, in the sense that I don't know. Maybe it's just because of my algorithm, it makes it seem like there's more people coming out talking about this stuff, because I don't
No,
know about
I've
you.
I've seen that too in my own TikTok stuff. But the one thing that I keep coming back to, and I think it was on an old version of the TV show Millennium. Do y'all remember that?
oh
Which was
yeah.
a spinoff of the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there was a segment that was all about demons and how they tempt people. It was like a modern reinterpretation of the screw tape letters. And there was one in which a guy was just in the situation that we were describing. He was overweight. He would only stay in his room. He would be consumed by thoughts of self harm. And then one night he finally leaps out of his high rise apartment. And for the first time in years, while he's falling, he experiences the thrill of life until he splatters onto the ground.
Shit. That is really heavy.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to take us until like truly
No,
dark.
no, no.
No, that's
But
fine, dude.
what's fascinating about that is wasn't Millennium, when did that show come out? I mean, that was a long time ago, right?
Yeah, because X Files was already kind of getting long in the tooth back in 98, 99. So it had
Yeah.
to be right around there.
Says 96 to 99. And the reason I point out that time period, or the reason I ask when this came out, is because that's kind of like a pretty what's the word? Like a really astute or perceptive kind of take on society back then for someone to feel that way.
Mhm.
And I think it's gotten even way like, a million times worse now. But yeah, that's crazy to that, someone had the foresight to think about that just 20-25 years ago.
Maybe it's just because of my interest in this area. I'm not saying that it's not, but any episodic show that refers to the demonic in any way, shape, or form tends to be the standout versions in that series. Think of the Twilight Zone. All of those that deal with the devil or demons are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Same thing for that one episode of Millennium. Even Black Mirror, there's a recent, I think it was in the latest season, there is one that dealt with a woman who suddenly was seeing a demon in her head. That one was heads and above one of the best ones I've ever seen in that series.
I feel that way too about like scary movies. Like if it has a creature or a monster in it, I want to watch it. Like even if it's rated like 5 out of 10, if it's got some kind of, supernatural crossover with a creature or a monster or something, I'm way more interested in that than watching like a slasher, like a bunch of kids getting murdered in a field somewhere.
Right.
Exactly. Human evil is fine. It's been done to death, but you add a little bit of a supernatural horror into it and it just elevates everything.
Mystery. Agreed.
Yeah, there's something about that that just catches my attention. I always love those shows. Especially there's always new shows coming out. I think there's a new one called Haunted on Netflix. It's kind of like a collection of like each episode, like a different person shares a story. I only got a chance to watch one episode, but I love things like that where it's
The
all like
first
supernatural.
few seasons of Haunted were phenomenal. And then like the last time I saw it, the last season, they kind of fell for their own hype and it just became absolutely awful. And then there was a version that was set in Latin America, which was absolutely atrocious. Not because it's set in Latin America, but just because of the quality of the stories that they were telling were just bad. And I went, "Yep, this is a bad series now." But
I actually like that.
well, you would.
Well,
Silver
if you could
bullets loading.
understand the language, asshole, it doesn't work just as well.
I took several years of Spanish in high school. Thank you very much.
I know you
Now
had
start
it
swearing at
tough.
each other. Start swearing at each other. Cabrón.
Good, now fight. This is great.
Sesame cola. That's all I know.
But real quick, I wanted to add on to the conversation about people being more susceptible to the demonic or negativity or supernatural malevolent forces, whatever you want to talk about, or whatever you want to call them. Got a few folks that I know that have had those situations where they were kind of down in the dumps and all of a sudden they hear a voice, they hear knocking, and it's just like weird, creepy shit. So I think there's something to it. It can see you. I think that the people that can see these things or are aware of these things or have had experiences, the reason they have had experiences is kind of because this sounds bad, but like you attract it. Y'all ever watch Insidious?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where they like go into what the hell did they call it? The ether? Excuse me.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
Yeah,
something like
and
that.
it's like you're like a beacon of light or something of the equivalent where these things can see.
Right.
So kind of like think of it like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like rolling around in barbecue sauce and then going out into the middle of a bear infested woods. You're going to be much more attractive all of a sudden.
Right.
And I was just going to say, what gets me about this conversation, and I think weirdly enough, the last time the three of us talked about something like this, we actually talked about the same thing, but I think it bears bringing up again. And doesn't it suck to be a human? Because not only could you potentially, for a myriad of other reasons, but dealing with the demonic or the supernatural, or like in the negative sense, not only do people seem to be susceptible to things that might likely be real in that realm, you can also have someone who has pure psychosis, who's obsessed with religious, idolatry, or like whatever part of religion that they follow. They could be so obsessed with it. I think all three of us know what I'm talking about, because we've all known people like this, that they could even like psych themselves up internally to believing that there's some supernatural thing going on, but they're just so obsessed with nature, reality, and religion that they start manifesting things. And then you could even have the argument like, well, are they actually manifesting real entities that are separate from them, or are they just dealing with some kind of psychosis or psychological issue, in which case that sucks, because like, not only, if you're a human, not only are you susceptible to psyching yourself out and making issues for yourself, if you're hyper fixated on, like, demons and stuff like that, you might think you see a demon and you're not even actually getting attacked by a demon at all, and then the demons are just laughing at you because you've done that to yourself against your will or whatever. But then there's also cases where people didn't ask for anything and they didn't have any psychological issues, and then suddenly they're seeing and hearing things. And I just can't imagine the smattering of, both sides of that, but that's just terrifying to me. They could be one or the other or both.
Now, I want to bring up this topic again. JJ and I already did an episode about it, but the concept of religious psychosis is not really a term, but it's kind of been thrown out there. So JJ and I talked about that for like, I don't know how long, dude, for like an hour and a half at least.
Yep.
Since you weren't able to be a part of that conversation, Dean, what are your thoughts?
Let me just caveat by saying there's so many things to unpack, but I'm only going to focus on like one or two. And I've thought about this a lot. I think one of the most interesting primary responses to that is the concept that humans have this psychological capability, and even you could even say necessity, to finding certainty in their existence. It's all primal. That's all, like, we need to feel comfortable and safe because we were literally running around away from saber-toothed tigers and whatever, like when 10,000 years ago. And so that's left over. So I think what's happening in cases like that is people are so weighed down, bogged down from the negativity of society. They see it around them every day. They don't fit in, but they're still religious. They're like, religion, this is my religion. This is the space I occupy in comfort and safety. And all this other stuff is going against that I see every single day of my life. And I'm fucking exhausted. I don't want blah, blah, blah. And so I think that they kind of literally are gambling. Like they're reaching a point of just fuck. It's literally their religious fuck it moment. If religious people swore, it'd be my religious fuck it moment, because it's just like, I can't do this anymore. It's like, subconsciously. And so I need to believe either all or nothing. So I have to show God that I believe, and I'm going to cast all my chips in, and because I feel it in my bones or whatever. And then I think that spiral is how it happens initially. And then finally there's that point where it's just like, I see other people like this, and then it's like an echo chamber, which social media doesn't help. And then one little minor point to add on top of that is, I think that people are so desperate nowadays to have this sense of belonging. And so if they get together, like I was saying in that echo chamber, I think that people have a tendency to gravitate towards this group think, 1984, this ability to think on the same wavelength without saying it in so many words. But what's fascinating to me, though, is if you're so religious, and this is not a negative shot towards anyone, but it's like, if you're so religious in that moment, let's take the rapture thing for an instance. All you have to do is remember that if you like, I'm not Christian or anything, but I know from the Bible, from like studying it, it literally says word for word in the Bible, nobody knows the time or the place of the rapture. Nobody. If you're so fervent in your belief, how could you overlook that little minor discrepancy? Like, why would you think that you would know or other people would know when it literally says in your holy text that nobody's going to know the time or the place? That's what fascinates me, is this ability to have cognitive dissonance where you're completely ignoring everything else about the structure of your belief just because you have this psychological imperative that is happening to other people in this echo chamber simultaneously. Sorry, I can go on forever about stuff like that, but glad you asked me, because I feel like I needed to get that out because I've been thinking about it a lot lately.
Well, and the other something that has been top of mind for me, but we didn't bring up last time, is it's just like individuals who get duped into thinking that the earth is flat or other preposterous ideas.
Right.
It is that feeling of having secret knowledge that you were wise enough to see the validity of, and
Right.
it
Or
makes
special
you
enough.
special. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It makes you feel special, and you cling to that. And it's just another one of the many reasons that this shit persists, unfortunately, and it just comes back to bite them in the booty.
I know, I have a feeling I know what your guys' responses are, and I'm not, there's no judgment. I just want to hear it though. You said it, JJ. It's kind of like it comes from this place of fear of wanting to feel special and wanting to have some kind of control. I think you could make an argument that it's wanting to have some kind of control over your own life and destiny. And that's why in a lot of cases this manifests of this need to find some kind of special place in existence for yourself. So, you know, you have people who think they have the secret knowledge or whatever. But you can have people who believe that and have fallen into that trap, but they're the sweetest people ever. You might not be able to convince them out of it, but they still treat you sweetly and nicely and stuff. But then you can go to the other side, and somebody who started in the same starting point as the sweet person who got sucked down that funnel turns into an asshole about it. Like, how do you treat that person? Because like maybe they became an asshole and are shoving it down people's throats and they're willing to fight and die over it. I don't know. Like, how do you approach that? Do you just say like, fuck the person who's a shithole to me, even though they believe the same thing as this nice person who's really sweet? And like, do you just X them all out and be like, they're all insane? Or do you think that there's some kind of like wiggle room to be like, oh, there's some humanity left in them? And that's where I struggle with all this. It's just like, well, these people who are doing these things in society nowadays, who are affecting other people in such a negative way, like unprecedented, it's like, yeah, you can just completely hate them into oblivion. All three of us are smart enough and perceptive enough to know that they don't operate in a vacuum. It all starts from someplace, whether it was, you know, getting beaten as a child or being like whatever negative thing you could possibly imagine that led them down the rabbit hole that they went into and the psychosis that they found themselves in. That's what I get hung up on. Like, is there hope in humanity? Is there no hope in humanity? I know that's a heavy question, but that's what I eventually devolve into when I think about that sort of thing.
You have to have a lot of patience and willing to deconstruct or willing to just leave it alone or deal with it.
100% agree. Cannot address it for every single case.
I do not have patience. You subscribe to a batshit.
You're 50. You're 50 years old. That's why. You're the last.
I used to have a hell of a lot more patience, even though, my hatred for humanity has not increased, but my lack of time most certainly has. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good quote. Hey, you got to patent that. That's an amazing quote. Put that on a t-shirt.
This kind of segues into one of the topics that I had originally planned before I fucking derailed us about the
We're having fun.
Speaking of people persisting with something that has proven to be a hoax, it's your favorite, JJ. Your favorite.
Is it the Z word?
Yes, it is. It is the Z word. Zozo. We never talk about zombies. Zombies would be a good topic one day.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be. I love zombies. Almost everything zombie. I adore.
Dude, I'm making my way through Resident Evil 4 like for the 12th time right now.
There you go.
The remake or the original?
The remake.
I do have a special place for the original, but I honestly think the remake was really well done and I enjoy it.
We're going back to Zozo.
Wait, what is Zozo? You talking about like Pazuzu or wait, what's Zozo?
No.
No.
So Zozo is the supposed demon of the Ouija board.
Right.
Let me just say this. If you are a paranormal content creator and you get on God's internet and start spouting bullshit about
You mean the devil's internet?
You are instantly being blocked, and I am ridiculing you until the day that you die. All of this shit started because of a goddamn creepypasta. They have tried to legitimize this thing left, right, and forwards. Supposedly, if you're playing with the Ouija board, which I do not advocate, I highly advocate that you do not ever touch one of the bloody things because you never know what you're going to get whenever you do so. Warning aside, they say that eventually there will be an entity that starts spelling Z-O, 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 and it would just keep going on and on and on. And then they talk about some bullshit of how their lives are forever upended because of Zozo, and they can't even mention his name because then shit just goes batshit crazy in their house. It's all bloody bullshit. They even then tried to appeal to history by saying, oh yeah, this was happening way back before, and then they'll even throw in another lovely little ditty where Zozo, could that really be a Zuzu? Bum, bum, bum. No, it
Or
does
Oz,
not.
or Oz Oz. What if it's Oz
Oz,
Oz?
Oz, Oz, Oz.
Oz Oz is the positive, the light of the positive version of Zozo.
Yeah, could that really be referring to Ahura Mazda? Bum, bum, bum.
Oh.
Semitic languages do not fucking work like that. I am a Semitic
Yeah.
philologist. I goddamn know. Anyway, whenever I hear this shit, it just sends me up a bloody wall. Okay.
Can we just bring that up? Hold on. You raised a really good point there for a second. Like, if you have like an ancient demon who was like Sumerian and they spoke like a language, this dead language or whatever, like, do they have to
Right.
learn, like, like, oh God, like these fucking humans are making another language. You have to fucking learn Japanese now. Like, and just to haunt people, like, maybe that's why we don't get so many hauntings from old religions anymore, because the demons are just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit anymore.
I
learn
can't.
all this stuff.
Duolingo
Yeah,
sucks.
can't
It's
do
not
this
working
anymore.
for me.
I can't get this app working. Like, I don't care.
Or if you deal with the Catholic side of it, then supposedly the more ancient the language that you speak, the more power it has over the demonic. Oh, if I speak in Latin or Greek or Hebrew, then it's going to impact the demon much more. And like, it doesn't work like that. What the
That's interesting.
hell?
Yeah, that's interesting too, huh? Saying it in Latin, because that was really the precedent for that was kind of set visually on a broad societal scale in The Exorcist, right? Where they do, the Latin is somehow more holy and therefore more powerful. That's a good point. I never thought of that.
One thing I want to throw out there to you, JJ, just to piss you off even more. What if there's people playing with the Ouija board and stuff really does happen to them, but whatever entity it is intelligent enough to be a smartass to do the ZO. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, they're around us, right? They're in the world of the unseen. So isn't it within the realm of possibility for them to know of that concept and then utilize it to be a dick?
It could be, but you would have to be dealing with the most low ranked, most tapped into societal conscious kind of entity that ever existed in order to do that. It's like something pretending to be Momo.
Yeah, like a demon who got passed over for that demon promotion to like demon general, and it's like, fuck, I'm never gonna make sergeant. Like, fuck it, I'm just gonna have
Yeah, exactly. Of course, one of the common tropes when it comes to Ouija boards is whatever you're dealing with is masquerading as something else. Could that happen? Yes. Is it beyond the realm of possibility? No, I can't say that. Is it likely in order for something to know of this particular legend and then actively try to impersonate it? Highly, highly doubt that.
right.
Yeah. To even be more of a smartass. Like, what if we took somebody that had that type of experience? They had a legitimate Ouija board experience, and they're like, it just kept going to ZO or Oz, and you strap them up to a lie detector, and it's like they weren't lying. Like, is there no wiggle room?
No, there's
something
not.
like that?
There is absolutely not a fucking entity called Zozo that is the supposed demon of the Ouija board. Are there legitimate Ouija board things? Absolutely. Is there one demon specifically over this one highly, regulated type of thing that started only 100 and something years ago? No, there's not.
By the way, the only time I'm ever gonna hold any kind of like belief in a Ouija board happening is if the Ouija board piece moves by itself. If your hands are on that piece and it's moving, it's not doing it for me. I need you to get knocked back by a force of wind, and I need it to move around quickly on its own. That's what I need for it to be legitimate.
You know what? Anybody watching or listening to this, let us know if you had a Ouija board experience.
Yeah, that's fair.
What the hell is that thing called? The
Planchette.
The planchette moved on its own.
Yeah.
I
That
would
be
love to talk to
interesting
somebody.
hear. Or if someone even more niche was playing Kakuri-san, the homemade Japanese version of a Ouija board, and they had the coin move by itself, I would love to know.
There's something about Asian demons and the paranormal world that's just 100 times more scarier.
Oh, dude, I was on Ghost Gossip a few
Oh,
days
that's right,
ago.
you were. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the topics that came up after I was sharing my experience in Japan. And I freely had said that, yeah, there's something about Asian spirits and horror stories which are much more sinister, creepy, and you are most likely going to die if you're involved in it in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, why though?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's just the more ancient version, if the belief is so much stronger. Because I mean, when it comes to actually, when it comes to most Asian countries, it's not so much of a doubt. It's just an underlying understanding that this world is real. Meaning the spiritual world is real, and if you touch it in an unexpected way, you're going to get burned. Period.
You know, the creepiest, like I've been watching a lot of these creepy TikToks more and more lately, especially during Halloween. And I am starting to firmly build up a creepy factor of 10 for people who live in the Philippines. Okay, so like Southeast Asia is close, you know, basically it's like, okay, you have Indonesia, Malaysia, they have some really creepy different types of tales and whatnot. And then, you know, you have like go up to Japan and even like China, they have some really creepy lore and stuff like that. But man, you go to the fucking Philippines, you
Dude.
should like talk to some of the people who have experiences in the Philippines. And it's like that. Did we talked to a woman from the Philippines not like a year ago or something where she was like, there was like
Anna
a
Maria.
vision of children. Yeah, she's like built like burning and like these creatures and like fangs standing. Like, oh my god, man!
Oh
The
yeah,
Philippines
Anna
seems
Maria
like the most
Manila
haunted.
is awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I remember her now. Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur, Indonesia is, I
Mm.
mean, holy anything out of there, Jakarta is just
Yes.
absolutely bloody terrifying. But there are
Yeah.
some phenomenal YouTube short horror movies that used to be made in that area, and they are
Yeah.
bloody phenomenal. Absolutely.
Dude, speaking of the Philippines, I was listening to an episode of Stories with Sapphire. If you guys have never listened to that podcast, I 1000% recommend it. So I was listening to Stories with Sapphire, and she had a couple people that were from the Philippines, and they were talking about this creature called the aswang. And
Yeah.
basically, what it does, it like comes and it takes the dead body. I don't know specifically why. I can't really recall. It might be to like inhabit it or something. But what they would do is like the aswang would come, take the dead body, and replace it with like a banana tree trunk. Because apparently the weight of the banana tree trunk was similar to that of a corpse.
Yeah, dude, that's an entity that you're not ever supposed to talk about because just talking about it invites it into to haunt you and for your entire life. It's rare to get stories about that thing just because of that fact.
Yeah. So when I was listening to the episode, one of the people that was on there said that their like relative had died. And I guess in the Philippines, like they like keep the body. I don't know if they like keep the body in the home or something in the casket. It would be really interesting to talk to Anna Maria about this.
She actually has a story. I think the first or second time I had her on Southern Demonology, she alluded to a story of this thing, but she would not name it just because of that fact.
Oh wow. Okay. Fuck. I guess I shouldn't have.
Way to go, dude.
Notice I haven't mentioned its name.
The A creature. No, but seriously, apparently, like, the story that they told was that the family was at the home, whatever relative passed away, they were keeping wake. For some particular reason, everybody, I guess, ended up in the kitchen or something to get coffee. Then they hear this thud in the living room or wherever, and they go back. Everything looks fine. They proceed with the funeral stuff, and the day of the burial, they're like the pallbearers are like carrying the casket. And after they like buried the person afterward, they were like, this seemed really light. So about a week later, they exhumed it and they opened it, and there was a trunk of a banana in there.
To continue on with made up crap,
Yeah.
you want to throw in black-eyed children?
Let's do it. Dude,
by the way, JJ, wait, real quick. This is what my child drew for me recently. This one's mommy, this one's daddy, and this one's my special friend in the corner.
That is oddly terrifying.
No, it's not odd. Clearly, it's terrifying. I was just telling Chris, I'm like, before you have kids who like draw video or draw pictures like that, you see them in the horror movies where the kid draws, like, oh, this is my special friend in the corner, and then that's where the horror ensues in the movie. But you're thinking when you're watching, like, clearly an adult drew that for the movie. Like, that's not what a kid's drawing would look like. And then I'm quickly the other day, I'm like, no, it's exactly what it looks like. That's exactly how it looks when a child draws something like that. It's 100% accurate.
Speaking of children, let's go to the other favorite topic of JJ's, which is that of the black-eyed children. And the reason I wanted to bring this up again, guys, is because I did an episode on it, kind of found some like reports of black-eyed children. I don't know about these black-eyed kids, dude. I've heard a couple of podcast episodes where people actually submitted experiences where they've said they've encountered them. But JJ, the floor is yours. Debunk away.
There was a YouTube channel entirely dedicated to a guy who claimed that his property was being infested with or black-eyed children. And it was the most staged crap I have ever seen in my life. And in fact, I had a listener write me say, hey, what do you think about this? And they got pissed because I said it's all bullshit. Anyway, so it started off in 1984. There's a journalist who claimed that he was being carjacked by these children who had solid black eyes, wouldn't look him directly in the eye. And that quickly spiraled, as most creepypastas do, into giving them a life of their own. And supposedly it's one or two children will come up to your door and they'll say, oh, I'm cold, or I can't find my parents. And then they're asked to come in. And it's essentially, it's a modern take on the vampire tale, where if you invite them in, horrible things will happen to you. And if you don't, then you're safe. But because they're children, then people will let their guard down even further. But again, it spawned from a creepypasta. It's all bullshit. Again, is there anything that says that and there are entities out there that can't act like this? No, I'm not saying that. But the supposed theory of black-eyed children is just that. It's absolute BS.
I promise this has a relevance, but I had to take a child CPR class recently, and one of the things that stuck out that the instructor told us was that it was something like, one of the parts of what you're supposed to do if there's an emergency is, yell for help. But then the person instructing was like, they're like, yeah, don't do that anymore, because we live in a time period where no one wants to fucking help anybody anymore. So you need to actually point at somebody and be like, you dude with the Starbucks and the beard, like, go get help, asshole. Like, that's the world we live in now. And that just makes me think about this story where like this is coming about in the 80s or whatever, and then creepypasta, more modern take on the internet, then it spreads like wildfire. Think about all the poor children who actually needed help, who didn't receive help because the person believed that demonic story about children going to get them or something. And Chris and I have joked about this in the past where like one of the tales of Appalachia is like if you hear a baby crying in the woods or like I get like I think people would be more supportive or like more argumentative of stories like that, but I just imagine every time I hear a story like that, I just imagine of some poor dude who like broke his ankle in the woods and he's dying out there and he's being surrounded by wolves. He's like, somebody help me. And then someone in their shack, like, a quarter mile away is like, don't listen to it. It's just one of those, night walkers trying to get you. And it's just like,
Oh
how many
God,
people have
yeah.
died, like, because of these stories, like children, black-eyed children. It's so fucked up.
Actually, you want to hear a funny story real quick?
Yes.
This is one of my earliest memories. I was 3 or 4. I was walking through the expansive woods in the back of our house with my uncle Ernest, and he then claimed that his leg was broken and he could not walk. And so I had to go and get help for him. What did my stubborn little ass do? I go, no, you not hurt. You no hurt. And I just stayed right there until he finally was forced to give up the prank and go, okay, fine. And I'm like, why would you try to play a prank like that on a friggin' 4-year-old kid? It makes no goddamn sense.
No, it does. He makes perfect sense. He wanted you to leave him alone. You were probably bothering him like, Uncle so. Like, no, I want to take some nips of whiskey. Get out of here. Like I broke my leg. Go get help.
I wouldn't doubt that, honestly. I probably was the most annoying little kid in the world, just like I'm an annoying brat now, but,
But you're also you're a brat, but you're a smart brat because you knew that his leg wasn't broken when you were 4 years old and you called him out on his shit.
that probably makes it worse, honestly. But, yeah, to actually dovetail into that, all of these idiotic creators that go on and they elevate Appalachia to be this hotbed of just absolute sheer terror, I instantly block you as well because that shit gets on my nerves. I grew up in the South. I am right next door to Appalachia. Yes, are there things that may go strange in the woods? Absolutely. Are there probably really awful things there? I'm not saying that there's not, but to sit there and elevate it as the creepiest, most awful place in the world, and dear Lord.
The oldest mountains in existence dwell there.
If you'll notice, almost all of these things will try to harken back to a false sense of history. Almost every single one. And if you count that, then that's usually a good sign that someone is full of shit or blowing smoke up your butt.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I wouldn't doubt there is some creepy shit in there.
Oh, there are.
I'm
I
sure
grew
there
up
is.
in the South where every bloody parcel of land has its own ghost stories or set of ghost stories. I have experienced truly awful things, but do you see me going on and on about how my region of Tennessee is the most cursed place ever? No. They're just people trying to get money and or internet fame by posting shit like this. And it's annoying how they're trying to turn something. So they're trying to turn somewhere that's home to somebody into a
A place of
nightmare.
terror.
Yeah, it just irritates me to no end.
And here's our perfect pitch for our podcast. This is exactly we're not trying to blow smoke up of anybody's ass. We're just trying to have a conversation about this stuff and hopefully capture up some creepy stuff along the way. But that's what I agree with you. I cannot stand videos that purport to be realistic about how they're telling the story, but they like lean in and they put on that sinister voice like on the evening of 2012. Blah, 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 blah. Like I can't fucking do it, man. And I know, Chris, I know that you like ghosts tales and stuff like from History Channel, but I'm sorry, but I can never get into those because like they're just so dramatic. I mean, I know the earlier ones were a little bit more serious and better, but as time went on,
real evil.
exactly, like oh my god, like like I can't anymore with
Although
that.
I will say, if I even to this day, if I watch the intro to Tales from the Dark Side, with that
Mm.
creepy music playing, and then
Sure, yeah.
the negative light effect that comes on. No, I still get chills down my spine on that one.
Fair enough. Yeah, as a classic.
All right, gentlemen. I enjoyed talking to you all this evening. Dean,
Yes.
glad to have you back. Hope we may have you back on a more consistent basis as
Mhm.
things go along and you get a little bit more sleep.
Mhm. It's not gonna happen, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. See, I told you people, he wasn't gone. He's here,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you have him on video for the first time.
Chris
So,
didn't have me whacked.
no, I didn't. I didn't. I
Or
actually asked you.
maybe he did and I'm AI. Hmm? Maybe I'm
I
AI,
tried
innit?
to have you whacked because I secretly want to take your place. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, JJ wants to be the co-host now.
Oh,
It's
shit.
all mine. No,
Competition.
Right. But yeah, to echo what Dean said, it's we like talking to people. We like talking about this stuff. It's not
Mm.
coming from a place to be negative or facetious. It's kind of like, hey, is this legitimate? Like, if it's not, whatever. And I will say, if you like those scary stories about Zozo and black-eyed children and shit like that, I like them too. They're fun to listen to sometimes.
Yeah, entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
I
nothing
am a
wrong with that.
person that grew
You were
up.
just a miserable asshole. I'm
No,
kidding.
well, yeah, kind of. But I am a person who grew up on ghost stories, who adores them, who would beg any adult around me to
Mhm.
tell them to me. I regaled all of my classmates with ghost stories. Halloween is my favorite time of year. It's
Yeah.
just that, when you take that and then someone makes that their entire personality, and then they're seeking for new content to put out there so that they can get more likes or more advertising dollars,
Mhm.
that's when it pisses me off. When you turn it from a legitimate quest for knowledge and storytelling and sharing and turn it to something much more base and vulgar, that's when you've lost me. And I think that's where the vast majority of my anger when it comes to these particular cash grab topics come into play. It's disrespecting everything that it's supposed to stand for.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Great. Well said, JJ. And
Yay,
on
I was
that
eloquent for once, maybe. Not really.
for once.
You're always eloquent.
Yeah, a lot more eloquent than my co-host. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Wow. You gonna take that, Dean?
Uh,
I'm too tired to
we've
throw
been
any
dealing
feedback.
with it for the past 16 years. It's gonna be 16 years or something, dude. We've been friends. It's crazy.
Has it been?
Yep.
6, 7, 8, 9 Yeah. Yeah, because we
Yeah.
met in what
2009.
wow. Damn. That's crazy.
That's so long ago. So
Wait till
crazy.
you go to your 25th anniversary college reunion. I
Oh,
did
dear
that
Lord.
2
College.
years I did that
I thought
2
you were gonna say
years
high school.
ago, and I
Oh,
felt
man.
I mean, I'm old, but I felt really old when I went there. I'm like, "Holy
Yeah.
shit."
But gentlemen, thank you for hopping on tonight to have a fun conversation. I truly enjoyed today's episode. I hope the
I
viewers and
did too.
listeners enjoyed watching me rage bait JJ with the topics. But JJ, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you and Southern Demonology?
Yeah, so Southern Demonology can be found on all major podcasting platforms. You can go to southerndemonology.com to get all of our social links, listen to episodes, etc. So you can even reach out to me in case you disagree with what I said or you want to ask me a question. More than happy to hear from you.
All right, you heard them, folks. Go give Southern Demonology a follow if you have any creepy stories or thoughts or want to refute anything that he has said tonight. Please get a hold of him because I would love to hear what he has to say. But also, listeners and viewers, if you have a scary story or you would like to be a guest on the show to come on and share your paranormal experiences, or you want to submit them anonymous, you can reach us at our email address of twroadpodcast@gmail.com. All of that information will be in the video description below if you are listening on an podcast platform, it will be in the episode description. So please reach out to us if you enjoy our content. Please share, like, subscribe. The more people we get to come on and share the show, the more better content we can put out for you guys. Hope you enjoyed tonight's episode.
You've reached the end of tonight's journey on the Wandering Road. The show is written and produced by me, Chris, and my co-host, Dean. If you've got a scary story of your own, or if you'd like to join us as a guest, send your tale to twroadpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to follow us on social media for more haunted fun. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode, please rate, review, and share the show. It helps keep the lantern burning for fellow travelers. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your mind in the shadows, because the wandering never ends.